If you're looking at Halifax home prices right now and thinking, there's no way I want to take this entire mortgage payment just sitting right here on my shoulders, you're not alone, and you're also not wrong. Home prices in HRM are still strong. Interest rates aren't what they were back in 2021, and for a lot of buyers, especially first-time home buyers and relocator home buyers, the monthly payment, it just feels heavy. But here's the shift most people aren't thinking about. What if you didn't have to carry the entire mortgage yourself? And I'm not talking about just simply waiting for interest rates to drop. Not by buying something smaller than what you actually want and making those types of compromises, but what if you were buying smarter? Today, we're talking about income helper strategies and why 2026 might be the best environment in years to execute this properly in Halifax. Let's get something clear right away. This is not about becoming a full-time landlord. This is not about buying a 12-unit building. This is about using your primary residence as a strategic financial tool so you can not only win later, but win the moment you receive the keys to your next home. When talking about family home investments in Halifax, that usually means one of three things: a legal secondary suite in the basement, a backyard suite or accessory dwelling unit, or a home designed with clear suite potential that can be converted properly. And I'm emphasizing the word properly here for a reason, because if you cut corners and build a rental suite that isn't up to proper safety codes, it will backfire faster than you can text me saying that you're wanting to move. Just for the record, my information, it's in the description below. I'd love to connect with you if you have any questions about moving. But, if you use the space properly to legally create income, it can change the entire math of your purchase to help with these financial burdens. So we're gonna break down the numbers. Say you're buying a detached home in Fairview for $650,000. Your mortgage payment might land around $3,000 to $3,500, depending on your down payment and what the rates are. There's a few factors here. And that number of $3,500 a month can feel intimidating. And now imagine that same property with a legal basement suite that rents for $1,500. Suddenly, your costs drop from $3,500 to $2,000. And that's a completely different conversation. The difference impacts your monthly comfort, your ability to qualify for certain mortgages, your stress levels, savings. That's not hype, it's just simply math. And math changes behavior. I worked with a buyer wanting to see what opportunities could exist for their family. They really wanted a great space to call home. Now, the father, he wanted to move to Fairview. He wanted something detached, but he assumed it was out of reach. When having income and family living all in one, it can be a tricky home to find. And we started to look at properties with secondary suite potential. He found a home with a separate basement entrance, solid ceiling height, and it was zoned to have a legal in-law suite. We ran the numbers. We double checked everything with our property lawyer to make sure that everything was above board and could happen. And with a projected rental income of around $1,500 per month, the home that was scary, it suddenly was a great fit for his family and their budget. Not barely, but comfortably. He moved forward, he renovated the basement properly, installing a kitchen, upgrading one of the rooms to have a proper safety egress window. Everything was done properly and by the book. Now, his tenant covers roughly a third of his monthly mortgage every single month. He lives upstairs with his family in a detached home in the neighborhood that he actually wanted. That's not luck, that's structure. And when it comes to your next move, I don't want there to be luck involved at all. I want a solid plan that works. So let's zoom out and talk about why 2026 specifically matters. The Halifax market, it's stabilizing. Homes aren't flying off the shelves in 24 hours anymore. That matters for income helper buyers because this strategy, it requires due diligence. You need time to confirm zoning, to review bylaws in the neighborhood, to evaluate separate entrances to and from the building, understand parking requirements, budget renovation costs properly, and in a panic market, that's difficult to make sure that we have the proper amount of time to do our due diligence without acting like chickens with our heads cut off. In a stabilized market like what we're experiencing more and more, things are a lot more doable. That's why this window that we're currently in, it matters. Let's talk about neighborhoods. Income helper opportunities exist all across HRM, but some areas consistently stand out. Fairview has older housing stocks with basement layouts that lead themselves to conversion. There's also a bump in R2 zone homes here. Dartmouth, especially near transit or Burnside of the ferry routes, has strong demand and good structural potential. Spryfield offers larger home sizes which can support backyard suites. Not to mention, newer buildings here have legal rental suites already built into them. They may cost you a bit more, but you'll make that money back in spades based off of how long you plan to hold these rental properties for. Lower Sackville, it continues to be a strong entry point with consistent tenant pools. Even parts of the North End in Halifax, while more expensive, have extremely strong rental demand due to its proximity to downtown and to the local universities. But here's the key. Not every home in these neighborhoods works. This is why it's not just buy any basement and rent it out strategy. You really need to have proper ceiling height, legal egress windows, fire separation, independent electrical panels, insurance clarity. That's why working with someone who understands this process, it matters. So let's also talk about the risks here, because I want you to trust me, not just get excited. And I want you to get excited about owning a home with rental potential, but you know what I mean. I want you to trust me here. We need to look at being a landlord just for a moment, because it really isn't for everyone. You need to screen tenants. You need to set some money aside for repairs. You need to understand lease structure. You need to be comfortable sharing your property's space. This strategy requires maturity, but for right buyers, it can be very transformative. And it turns your largest expense into a self-funded asset. And that's power. That's what we're talking about here. There's also a long-term equity plan here that people tend to overlook, and having something that can generate income just helps with that. Now, homes with large secondary suites, they appraise differently. They command stronger resale demand because they help with investors and owner-occupiers. So not only are you improving your monthly cash flow, you're potentially increasing your long-term resale appeal. And that dual benefit is why this strategy works so well in higher cost environments. Now, here's where engagement comes in. If you're curious whether this could work for your situation, just text or call me. My information is in the description of this video, but you can also just comment below. I would love to help you out, and I'd love to send you my home buyer's guide, and we can go over your specific situation. I'll answer any questions you might have, and we can work on a plan together that keeps your interests top of mind for success. It all starts with a conversation and a plan. That's how we win and get you the keys to your future home. Also, one more thing. In 2026, buyers are realizing something important. Waiting for the perfect market doesn't buy equity. Smart positioning does. The income helper strategy isn't about timing the bottom of the market, it's about engineering your affordability. And engineering your affordability gives you control. control over your payment, control over your neighborhood choice, control over your long-term wealth building. That's the difference here. If you're relocating to Halifax, this strategy is especially worth exploring. Rental demand here remains strong due to population growth and limited supply, and that demand supports stability where you can get an income suite to help with your bills. But again, strategy matters here. This is not about shortcuts. This is about planning. If Halifax is on your radar and you want to explore buying smarter instead of just buying cheap, then reach out. My contact information is below. I make sure to answer my own messages here on YouTube, and I want to build a home plan that works for you, not just one for you to live in and deal with and feel stressed by. Because in 2026, the smartest buyers aren't just buying property, they're buying leverage.